Hey everyone, it's made by Tim. Today I'm redrawing one of the most iconic manga covers ever, Naruto Volume 1. I'm doing the whole thing with a 90 pack of Arrtx alcohol markers I've never used before. It doesn't have most of the colours I need, so we're winging it a little bit. While I draw, I'm also going to be looking back at the Naruto manga itself, what made it special, how it holds up, and what it meant to me growing up. So as always, it's kind of a redraw manga review at the same time. Let's get into it. So before I get into the review, I want to talk a little bit about my process. I started with a 20cm by 30cm grid, just to get the proportions locked in early. It helps a lot when working traditionally, especially with a busy piece like this. I used a 4H pencil to keep the lines super tight, just basic forms, no pressure. Then once I was happy with the placement, I went in with a 2B to define the shapes more clearly. Getting Naruto's pose right took a little bit longer than I expected. He's in mid-air, kind of twisting, and there's so much happening around him. Scrolls, toads underneath, paint brushes, that huge expression on his face. It's easy to overlook the complexity until you try drawing it for yourself. I didn't want to just trace or copy the layout. I wanted to understand the energy of it, and then rebuild it in my own way. I've been into Naruto since I was a kid, probably around 8 years old. Back then, I'd wake up early just to watch it on toasted TV before school. A funny story actually. My mum always talks about how she would help me put on my jacket one arm at a time because I didn't want to take my eyes off the screen. I was completely locked in. And then on Thursdays after school, I had a little routine. I'd make a cup of soup, jump online to read the latest manga chapter as soon as it dropped. That was the highlight of my week. This was pre-Shippuden, just classic original Naruto. He was loud, stubborn, kind of annoying, but always chasing something bigger than himself. And honestly, for a lot of us, that hit hard. It wasn't just the fights that kept me coming back. It was also the feeling that Naruto, deep down, was just trying to belong. That's what stuck with me. So, Masashi Kishimoto, the series creator, didn't just show up with a masterpiece out of nowhere. He actually struggled a lot in the beginning. His first published one-shot was called Kurakuri. Back in 1995, it was a sci-fi story about a war between humans and androids. The art was solid, but he later said it didn't feel like him. He was trying too hard to fit into the Shonen Jump formula instead of doing something personal. Then, in 1997, he made the first version of Naruto. It was a one-shot too, but totally different from the series we know. In that version, Naruto actually worked at the ramen shop, and he was actually the son of the nine-tailed fox. Way more comedic, kind of quirky, but that's where the whole idea of the series started to take shape. With Kishimoto's style, you can really see how he was inspired by Dragon Ball. The facial expressions, the humor, the big action poses. It's all there. But what set Naruto apart was the emotion. Even when things got wild, it felt grounded, like Kishimoto was pulling from real feelings, not just cool ideas. One thing that always stood out to me, then and now, is Kishimoto's art style. He's got this really clean, expressive line work that balances realism with cartoon, manga exaggeration. You'll notice it in the way the characters move. There's so much momentum in his action panels. Arms stretched a little longer than they should, poses twist, just enough to feel explosive. But at the same time there's restraint. Backgrounds are purposeful. They'll leave them blank when emotion needs to breathe, or throw in insane detail when the moment calls for it, like all those hand signs and weapon details. His character designs are also super readable. You can spot a silhouette and immediately know who it is. That's not easy to do with a cast that big. You can really tell Kishimoto was influenced by film too. His panel layouts often feel like storyboards. Wide shots, dramatic zooms, quick cuts. It's like he's directing a movie on the page. Now getting into the Naruto story, if you somehow missed it. Naruto follows a young ninja named Naruto Uzumaki, who's a kid, loud and unpredictable, and totally obsessed with becoming Hokage, the strongest ninja in the village. The twist is carrying the nine-tailed fox demon inside of him, which makes the village fear him. So while he's out chasing strength, what he's really chasing is connection. He just wants people to acknowledge him. Over time, we follow his journey from a total outcast to a hero, building bonds with characters like Sakura, Kakashi, and especially Sasuke, who becomes his rival and emotional anchor for most of the series. It's full of giant battles, secret clans, forbidden jutsus, and wild plot twists. But at its core, it's about identity, friendships, and perseverance. Naruto keeps getting back up, no matter how many times he's knocked down, and that resilience is why so many people connected with this series so deeply. Now I want to get back into my process a little bit. After I was finished with the pencils, I moved on to inking, as always, with deleted black ink and a G pen. Traditional inking definitely slows you down, but I think that's the point. It forces you to be intentional with every stroke, and you can't just Control-Z your way out of a bad line. You have to just commit. I focus on building weight in the lines, thicker strokes around the folds in Naruto's jacket, sharper angles on the scroll, some added texture in the frogs. I didn't just follow Kishimoto's lines exactly, but I try to stay honest to the original vibe. Inking took a while, and I was so keen to work with my new markers that I did use them before I fully finished the inking stage. It's the part I find so satisfying, because the piece really starts to feel alive. You see the shapes come together, and suddenly it's not just a sketch, it's got full structure. I pulled out the alcohol markers, and it's my first time using them, and yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve. As I said before, I got this 90 pack from Arrtx, and I saw the good reviews, and they were really affordable compared to Copics. I was going to get Uhuhu markers, but they seem to be sold out and have been sold out for months. Some of the colors I needed weren't there. I was missing key skin tones. I had no oranges, just yellows. But I found this really interesting. It made it kind of fun. I had to improvise, mix tones, figure out what worked. And I've since ordered every marker of Arrtx. I love them. So I shouldn't have this problem in the future. Believe it or not, the frogs were probably the hardest part. Getting that deep red to pop out without overpowering the rest of the piece took a lot of balancing. I went with a more cell shaded look just to keep it sharp, and I added some slight texture in spots to keep things from looking flat. After colouring, I added a few highlights with a whiteout liquid and a brush. Just little details around the brushes, the scroll edges, some reflective areas on the metal parts. Also went back in with a G pen to darken some of the shadows and fix the lines that got softened during the colouring. That's what happens with the markers. You lose a little bit of crispiness, so it's always best to just go back over the top. The last step was cleanup, smoothing out any muddy colours, sharpening a few contours and stepping back to see how it felt overall. It's definitely not perfect, but my first time with markers, I'm pretty happy with it. If I had to rank Naruto honestly, keeping nostalgia out of it, it's an A tier for me. It doesn't hit that S tier status because, well, the fill is rough and the pacing in the later arcs drags a bit. But that early stretch, the Lana waves, peak, the tuning exams, peak, the Rock Lee versus Gaara fight, absolute peak. It's just peak shonen. It doesn't get better than that. It's emotional, it's intense, and the characters are just so well done. You really care about what they're fighting for. Even after all these years, it still holds up. As always, redrawing this was a reminder why I draw in the first place. It's not just about technique, it's about reconnecting with the stuff that made you love art to begin with. Revisiting something you loved as a kid, putting your own spin on it, and seeing how far you've come. Thanks so much for watching. Before I go, I stream me redrawing these covers every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes on a Sunday. So feel free to tune in anytime. Let me know in the comments which cover I should tackle next, and which manga you'd like me to review next.